Now, they provide the services that try to limit the number of people sleeping rough on our streets. But for the main body, for those who support the homeless in Wales, they say projects are now at risk of collapsing. There's already been a huge increase in spending on temporary accommodation. But the concern is that without extra cash, many services could be cut, potentially putting lives in danger. Brendan Williams reports.
Loving life and excited about the future. But a year ago, things were very different for 18-year-old Kai from Llandudno. Homeless and involved with crime gangs, he's in no doubt where he'd be if he hadn't received help.
I'd be in jail, or dead, one of the two, 100%. I definitely wouldn't be sitting here, about to move on into a new flat with money, a girlfriend, never been happy with my family. It's looking back from a year ago, it's mind-blowing to see how far I've come. I've still got a very long way to go.
Kai turned his life around with the help of ISATH, a scheme run by the Clwyd Elin Housing Association to support young people facing homelessness. Like similar projects across Wales, it's funded by the Welsh Government's Housing Support Grant. But that £167 million pot hasn't risen in several years, despite increasing costs and growing demand. A recent report by Cymorth Cymru and Community Housing Cymru found the sector has suffered a £24 million real-term cut since 2012. 75% of respondents that are funded by the Housing Support Grant said they were now running services at a deficit. And when providers were asked about next year, where funding isn't expected to be increased, 40% said they'd likely have to hand back contracts.
What this means is an absence of services for people who are experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness. This means that they may have nowhere to go, and this is a significant risk to their well-being and potentially to their lives. We know that it's been a very difficult draft budget, but there are 10 weeks until the final budget, and what we hope is that ministers will listen to the evidence we're providing them with and act and find some additional funding to fund those vital homelessness and housing support services that are so critical to people's lives.
One domestic abuse survivor, who we're not identifying, told me she was driven to suicidal thoughts, but was saved by a support worker who called her just in time and raised the alarm. Her words are spoken by a member of our production team.
There was nothing left in me. I couldn't see any other option, and my anxiety was through the roof. And the next thing I know, I'm coming to in a hospital, thanks to her making the phone calls necessary and knowing that something was badly wrong that day. I genuinely owe her my life, and I'll never forget that. I owe her so much. And if they don't get more funding, there's other people that are going to find themselves in my situation, and that phone call's not going to happen. And I can't bear to think of that.
The man who runs that service across Gwynedd and Anglesey has warned the entire system could be on the brink.
I think there's a high possibility that we are facing system collapse if there's not an increase in funding. And obviously that's going to have a detrimental impact on the people that we support. There would be an increase in safeguard referrals. It would put amount of pressure on the police and also for the health service as well. The Welsh Government, which will finalise its 2024 spending plans in the coming months, said it recognised the pressures on housing support services and managed to maintain funding despite a difficult financial climate.